which, given it was 52-48, I guess kind of makes sense. I've managed to push the government into promising they will pass legislation before the next election to effectively make it illegal to debank people on the basis of their legally held opinions. So on the face of it, it's a massive win. But in reality, are they going to do it? Are they actually going to do it? And how long is Rishi actually going to survive in number 10 anyway? And, you know, businesses involved in, shotgun trade, for example. Very, very difficult now if you're involved with the shotgun business. Even running a clay shoot, you'll find it very, very difficult to get a bank account or to keep a bank account. So it isn't just me being a high-profile political figure, it's being applied right across business. If you work in oil and gas exploration, very difficult to get a bank account because these things are not approved. So look, it's been a fight, Rob, that I was pleased to take on, a fight that on the face of it, I'm winning some big victories with promises from government and regulators. But I tell you what, I'm not holding my breath on any of this, and I'm deeply fearful, and we discussed this over a cup of tea a minute ago, I'm deeply fearful that government would like to drive cash out of our lives. And remember, from 2030, they are going to introduce, and it'll be a test form to begin with, but from 2030, under Jeremy Hunt's plans, there will be a central bank digital currency. If they can control your bank account, if they can control your freedom, you might as well be living under communism. So all of us, in every way, must do our utmost to fight against this monstrosity. And one thing I do, this is a bit naughty, I shouldn't really say this, but if you go into a coffee shop and there's a sign that says, cash not accepted, so what I now do is order a latte, put a tenner down, say, well, I'm sorry, and then just walk out. But then, I'm always looking for a fight, aren't I? But no, and I think we should actually, in our daily lives, just think about maybe using cash a little bit more. Otherwise, it's gonna go.
So Nigel, one more question on the debanking and cashless society. Who's behind all of this? The removal of cash and the control of politically exposed people?
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole politically exposed person thing is nonsense, because it doesn't just apply to the political figure, it applies to their family. And I could give you a long list of my family members that have been debanked. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, the thought that somebody, just because they're related to me, has a business account closed, frankly, is monstrous. Through the International Monetary Fund, the OECD, the Bank of England, the European Union, the United Nations, this is globalism, folks. Globalism is about unelected bodies taking ever more power, which diminishes the power of the nation state and therefore diminishes our ability to hire and fire those that are making our laws. Who benefits? The bigger the business, the more they benefit. And if I've learned anything, bear in mind, I was elected to the European Parliament back in the 1990s, so I've kind of been around a bit. And if I've learned anything through my years in politics, it is that big business has such a hold over government that government policy and government behaviour, they are increasingly in hock to big global corporate companies. And my fight for Brexit, whether you agree with Brexit or not, if you think about it, the whole point of Brexit was to fight against these monstrous, undemocratic, dominated by big companies, artificial states that are being created. And Brexit, I think, was the first brick out of the wall. And the fight back's coming. The fight back's coming. All across Europe, the fight back is coming. And in America, the fight back, well, there's only one man that can lead the fight back in America. Such a great guy, great, amazing guy.
What can we do about this, Nigel? What can we do against the globalist movement?
Well, I mean, what I would say is don't support politically those that have always endorsed it and will make it worse and worse. That is an individual power that we have, and that's very important. I mentioned the cash point earlier, that we can use cash a bit more to sort of say to the banks that we need this, we can't function without it. We can protect ourselves, though. You know, any of you out there that have got one business bank account that think everything's great and I'm never going to face a problem, well, look what happened to me. If they can debank me, they can debank you. All right? For whatever spurious reason. Could even be somebody you were at school with does something wrong. And honestly, this is how bad all this stuff is. So protect yourselves. Make sure that you've got access to other bank accounts. Even though it's an absolute pain in the arse, opening bank accounts, make sure you've got more than one bank account. That's the first basic protection anybody, both at a business and at a personal level, really, really ought to do. In fact, I'd go as far as to say have 3. So protect yourself with that. In terms of the future, well, I think you should consider having some assets that can't be taken from you. One of those assets is, one of those assets, of course, is a gold coin. Something that you actually physically own, you know. And the other is, maybe this is a bit technical, I don't know, but, you know, cryptocurrencies, yes, they've had their problems. Yes, there are some very unreliable providers. You know, Mr. Bankman-Freud, God help us, friend of Tony Blair and Bill Clinton's, they all just about deserve each other, I suppose, in many ways. And there are risks, but actually, one of the reasons that crypto is growing as quickly as it is, particularly in America, is this is the ultimate, if you think about it, it's the ultimate individual sovereignty. You are in charge of your money. The tax man can't take it. The bank can't close you down. And so I still believe that, and yes, there are some things to be sorted out within the industry, but I still believe that having something in the way of money in cryptocurrencies, again, is a very, very good protection. Do you remember those Canadian truckers? So these were guys, some girls too, you know, driving long-distance lorries, and suddenly Trudeau, the boss of Canada, put a vaccine mandate on people who never meet anybody else ever anyway. And they were set to lose their livelihoods until they were jabbed sort of every fortnight or whatever the recommendation was. And they protested. And what happened? Their bank accounts were all frozen. All frozen. And the only way, Rob, they were fed and watered during that protest was through cryptocurrency.
Wow.
So I hope that's a constructive, and if you're not on that road yet, don't be embarrassed by it. Most people aren't on that road yet. Most people don't quite get why this is so significant. But I know from my visits to America that in Miami, you can now buy everything from a Ferrari to a cup of coffee using Bitcoin or Ethereum. Don't think this is going to go away. Don't believe the Financial Times. Don't believe the Bank of England. Don't believe the BBC. No, I correct that. Never believe the BBC. Because they will all tell you that cryptocurrencies are valueless and a flash in the pan. They're not. And it's something all of you, if you haven't done it yet, should start looking into, reading into, and thinking about. Do you agree with that?
What do you guys think? We've been talking about this for 2.5 days.
Fine,
I
okay.
100% agree with that.
Good.
Okay, now let's move. Nigel, honestly, cards on the table, real reason why you did I'm a Celebrity.
Oh, well. So they first asked me in 2016 to go on I'm a Celebrity. And I thought, no, it's humiliating. It's for people on the way down in their careers, not on the way up. And you kind of think about it, it's normally sort of slightly has-beeny types that go on to the program. They've asked me every year since. And every year I've said no. And actually, for me, 2023 was a really good year. Firstly, the debanking thing put me, I think, 38 front pages in the space of 2 weeks. Some great cartoons as well, a few of which I bought. I love cartoons of myself, I really do. The lovely one, bank robber going into Coots with a gun. He said, the only reason I chose this bank is I knew Farage wouldn't be in here, you know. Some lovely